so emulation lets you play old games. Is it legal? Maybe. Probably not. Let's just say it is for the sake of the copyright. Today I want to talk about NES emulation, and yes, just emulate NES emulation. Fitting all systems in one video would be about a few years to make. People were trying to emulate the NES as early as 1996. Why not earlier? Good question. Computers were super underpowered at earlier times, along with development and debugging tools, so it would make sense why 1996 would be the start of the emulation race. If you want an in-depth video about some of the early days of NES emulation, go check out Modern Vintage Gamers video for more details. Let's now see the newest and oldest NES emulators and talk about them first. First, let's talk about the newest, or the best. It's Mason. Its emulation is fantastic. It has tons of video settings for customization, so you pretty much can make these 30-year-old games look the best they've ever looked. Just look at Super Mario Bros. For example, just stunning 4K. Not only that, we have speed up and rewind functions too, showcased in Kirby's Adventure. Finally, you may see a FPS counter at the top of the screen. Yup, 60 solid FPS. Oh, and there are more complex options too, but too complex for my peanut brain. Going back a decade is JNES, version 1.0. Yes, I know JNES has been updated, but version 1.0 was the version in 2011. Right off the bat, its colors are off on everything. I only tried like 3 games, and this was immediately evident. This is easiest to spot on the background here. The background is purple, not blue. Next is the audio, and of course, it has problems. In Contra, every time you shoot, there's this little high-pitched noise that plays. And of course, it isn't the shoot sound, it's something different. Completely different. Finally, in Kirby's Adventure, this happens. And this. Proving that the emulation is off too. Another thing I noticed is that the options were all super simple. There were pretty much no real options. Like an option to turn down the emulator. Turn on the emulator sound because it's way too loud. Next is Dystopia, which is a surprisingly good emulator. Unless you're picky about not having options, or say not having the right full screen aspect ratios. Look at this thing looks horrible. On Emulator Zone, there is an improved version, but for the sake of this video, I use the old one. Back to the topic of the NES, it's fun to replay the old games from time to time. Some of the games I played were Fire and Ice, a fun puzzle platformer that is genuinely challenging, and Gradius, a good space shoot 'em up. Die! Oh, it's pretty hard too if you were wondering. In Contra, which I never beat the first level of, neither could I pull off the Konami code, which is sad. I'll put the games you probably heard of on screen. If any of y'all want to play NES on your computer, Mason is the emulator to choose. I already said it, but Mason is the best out of all of them, and if you want to emulate the NES, Mason is the best at it. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. See you next time.